Now it's day one of the second F1 testing session in Barcelona. Let's head back live to Rachel Brooks at the Circuit de Catalunya. Rachel.
Yes, Alex, and well, it's very cold here this morning. We've got blue skies now and the rain's stopped, but it is very, very cold, and it's very, very quiet as well because the cars had gone out on track. We'd had about 15 minutes of running, and then Romain Grosjean spun off into the gravel, and that sums up the conditions here really this morning. I'm joined now by David Croft from Sky Sports F1 HD, and David, it's not the start to the final test these teams would have wanted.
No, they come to Barcelona for some winter testing and some warm weather, and it's evaded everyone at the moment. The conditions, I've been watching the first few moments, kind of slippy to treacherous out there. Charles Pic in the Caterham was the first car on the track this morning and was squirming around all over the place. On the wet weather tyres, the Toro Rosso of Jean-Eric Vergne looked a little more solid. Lewis Hamilton and the Mercedes on the intermediates, and they obviously have a little bit more downforce because they were handling the conditions better, but no surprising that one guy has gone off already, and unfortunately for Romain Grosjean, it's him.
We've seen the drivers this morning go across into the garages, obviously getting ready for this. What are they hoping to come away from this final test? What feeling do they want when they leave here? Obviously, they want to be confident in their cars, but what can we read from this final test in terms of the driver?
I think positivity from all sides, if I could use that word, is what they're looking for from this test. They want to know that what they've been doing in the wind tunnel and what their simulations have been telling them equate to a good performance on the track. They want a confidence-boosting test that they can take to Australia, probably with more upgrades on the car when we get to Australia, but at least know that they're reliable and they're quick and they can go and score points and they can compete, and they've got 4 days to do that. And the rain that's expected later today and Friday is not going to help them, albeit Australia could be cold as well. We just don't know what the conditions will be, so there's an awful lot to learn. There are systems checks still to be done. Some of the teams have had problem with the new ECU and making that work within the car, and they've got to make sure that works 100% before they get down to Australia, because they can't afford to lose running once we get into a practice session in a couple of weeks.
And last week in Barcelona, they were talking here, in fact, they were talking about the graining on the tyres, and Pirelli said it's because it's so cold,
yeah.
But this week's not going to help them. So are they going to go into Australia really not knowing exactly how these tyres work?
Well, things they go into Australia knowing that what they've done here is not going to totally equate to Melbourne, because it's a park circuit, it's a street track, it's not a proper race track, as it were, which is always, I think, the beautiful part of starting in Albert Park, that actually it's the sort of track that you can get an upset. It's not a regular race as such. We won't get that until we get to Malaysia. But no, the conditions don't help, but you can go to Bahrain or you can go to Abu Dhabi, but it's a long way to fly parts out to if you need to keep updating during a test. So they've coped with this situation before. They'll be fine.
And talking of drivers, coping with situations, Paul di Resta is out today for Force India. We still don't know who's going to be his teammate. We've spoken to Force India. They're not going to confirm anything today, they've told us. This is not a situation you want in a team, and I understand they're not the only team who have a little bit of speculation going on right now.
No, that's true. We think we've got all seats filled now, and we're assuming that Adrian Sutil is going to step into the car this week, and he is going to be the second driver alongside Paul di Resta. The team, as you say, haven't confirmed that, but Nicholas Todd, Jules Bianchi's manager, rather gave the game away yesterday, and my sources indicate that he was spot on the money, just a bit premature in announcing it. It has to come from Vijay Mallya, and the press release has to be issued to be confirmed, and Vijay's got various business matters to sort out first. But I think Adrian Sutil's a good choice driver-wise for the team. Don't forget that a couple of years ago he and Paul di Resta had the best ever season for Force India. Adrian scored 60% of the points, and he's a safe pair of hands, so they've gone for that stability rather than the potential that Jules Bianchi could bring them in the future. But you know, we're down here near Marussia as well. Max Chilton's going to be in the car today. He might be in the car tomorrow. He might be in the car Saturday and Sunday as well. We're not quite sure what's happening with Luis Razia. It's a kind of fluid situation, and the assumption is that the sponsorship that was promised to the team hasn't necessarily appeared, which is why he's not in the car today, and he was scheduled to be in the car today as well. So they're a bit perplexed. They can't say anything on the record about what's happening there, and I'm sure Luis Razia as well is itching to get into that car. Meanwhile, Max Chilton's getting all the mileage.
Well, just finally, Crofty, we're here today. It's a very special day. I know you've got your glasses handy. You're going to be not only showing testing live later on Sky Sports F1 HD, but in 3D as well. What can we expect? Testing
1, 2, 3D as it is for Sky today. I think it's going to be fantastic. Having seen a few of the early shots from our guys covering the track at the moment before Roman spun off, it looks amazing. The pit stops look amazing in 3D, and with the spray coming up from the backs of the cars, it was a fabulous shot that we were showing. And I just hope we can bring it in insight to what's happening at testing and just give the fans what they want. And that's cars on track before we get to Australia. No one has ever done this before. No one has ever covered live testing. It's kind of a historical day, really.
Well, Crofty, thanks very much for joining us this morning. We understand you're not in 3D in the commentary box.
Oh, that's okay then. I don't have to breathe in too much then. The red flag has finished. We've got cars on the track. Brilliant.
Well, you're going to go and have a look, I know, and watch. We'll keep you updated with what's going on. Felipe Massa was one of the first out this morning, but we were yet to see some real timed laps from the drivers. They'll be able to get into that now once they are back out on track. But as I speak, a dark cloud's coming over and it is starting to split again, so the rain may put paid to some of those efforts this morning. But we'll keep you updated here on Sky Sports News.
Thanks, Rachel. Yes, the weather not... Now it's the final round of testing for the Formula One teams ahead of the first Grand Prix of the new season. Lewis Hamilton is in his Mercedes today and Saturday, and teammate Nico Rosberg will test tomorrow and Sunday. The teams will try out their modifications for the first race in Melbourne next month. Romain Grosjean had the backing of the Lotus management yesterday after an error-strewn 2012, and on a rainy morning in Barcelona he found himself in the gravel early on. Grosjean not the only driver finding the gravel this morning. McLaren's Sergio Perez also found himself driving through the rough, although he was able to drive away without any assistance. And we're expecting confirmation that Adrian Sutil has been chosen ahead of Jules Bianchi to be Force India's second driver for the new season. Sutil was with Force India for 3 years but was dropped for last season after being convicted of an assault on Lotus executive Eric Lux in a Shanghai nightclub. Well, all 11 teams will be at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, and all 4 days of testing will be live on Sky Sports F1 HD and for the first time in 3D on the Sky 3D channel. There will be expert analysis from Martin Brundle, Ted Kravitz and Johnny Herbert.
Now it is day one of the second F1 testing session in Barcelona. Let's go back live and join Rachel Brooks at the Circuit de Catalunya. Rachel, what are conditions like there today?
Well, Rachel, we've actually come inside into the Sky Sports F1 HD studio here at the circuit. We were sheltering from the rain, which has just stopped actually in the last couple of minutes, but conditions not good out on track. You can have a look now and we can show you Lewis Hamilton going around a short while ago and the spray coming off the back of his car, and also the drivers are sliding on this track a lot and they're even on the full wet tyres at the moment, still finding conditions very, very difficult. Lewis Hamilton managed to keep it on track, but others not so lucky. Felipe Massa went off into the gravel a while ago, but did manage to get the car back onto the track again. It's meant that there's some trepidation from the teams. Their drivers, some drivers staying in the garage, they're going out, they're having a feel for the track and then coming back in again as they slide around. And then Romain Grosjean, though, the first to go off this morning, he went off after just 15 minutes of running earlier on today. His Lotus team tweeted and said, well, that's the spin simulation completed for today then, seeing the funny side to that, but not much running for him so far today. To give you an idea just how difficult it is, Jean-Eric Vergne set the fastest time of 1 minute 42.155 out there today, and the best time last week was a 1 minute 21. So that shows you just how difficult those conditions are right now. But it is brightening up a little bit, but we're expecting intermittent rain throughout the rest of the day here and for some of tomorrow. So not the weather news the teams will have wanted.
Let's just talk about the fact that F1 is being broadcast in 3D for the first time. How are the preparations going?
Well, lots of rehearsals and lots of practice going on at the moment, Rachel. I'm here in the studio and we're hoping to bring some of the drivers up to have a look themselves later on. The glasses are all out ready for them, and they're hoping, well, we're hoping rather, they'll come up here and have a watch and see what it's like. The drivers not out on track today, of course, still around the circuit and seeing what's going on with the cars, so we'll bring them up to have a look and experience it for themselves. But yes, preparations going well. Everyone's got their glasses on and keeping a close eye on the screens and the cameras, and we might have a little surprise as well for you on the F1 channel later on in terms of being inside one of the garages in 3D as well. So really looking forward to it. It's going to be very exciting, and of course testing for the first time live, and that will be on Sky Sports F1 HD later on this afternoon, 2 o'clock your time.
Great for now. Thanks, Rachel. And just a reminder, live coverage of...
OK, it's the final round of testing for the Formula One teams ahead of the first Grand Prix of the new season. Lewis Hamilton is in his Mercedes today and Saturday, and teammate Nico Rosberg will test tomorrow and Sunday. The teams will try out their modifications for the first race in Melbourne next month. Felipe Massa's Ferrari is carrying a few extra sensors today, as you can see from the shark fin just behind the cockpit. The Force India of Paul di Resta is also running with a similar kit this morning. Well, this is di Resta, also sporting that shark's fin. But it didn't help keep the Scot on track. He slid off before regaining control and continuing with his laps. Not only di Resta, who's been in the gravel today, the Lotus of Romain Grosjean, here the McLaren's Sergio Perez have also found the rough. Though unlike Grosjean, Perez was able to drive away without any assistance. And we're expecting confirmation that Adrian Sutil has been chosen ahead of Jules Bianchi to be Force India's second driver for the new season. Sutil was with Force India for 3 years but was dropped last season after being convicted for an assault on Lotus executive Eric Lux in a Shanghai nightclub. All 11 teams at the Circuit de Catalunya in Barcelona, and all 4 days of testing live on Sky Sports F1 HD and for the first time in 3D on the Sky 3D channel. There'll be expert analysis from Martin Brundle, Ted Kravitz and Johnny Herbert.
Okay, some breaking news in Formula One. We can cross live to the final F1 testing before the new season. Rachel Brooks is in Barcelona for us. Rachel, what can you tell us?
Rachel, yes, I can tell you that finally Force India have announced their second driver for the 2013 season, and it is Adrian Sutil, as we had thought. They've given us confirmation now in the last couple of minutes, and he'll join Paul di Resta in the team. Adrian Sutil, of course, has driven for Force India before, between 2007 and 2011. And it'll be his 5th season and his 6th year of Formula One competition, 5th season with Force India. He's going to test for the team this week. He'll be in the car on Friday and Saturday here. Paul di Resta back in the car on Sunday, and Adrian Sutil has had this to say. He says, "I'm delighted to be back in Formula One, especially with a team I know so well. I'm very happy, and I want to thank Sahara Force India for giving me a second chance." He missed out on a seat last year, of course, because he had that conviction for grievous bodily harm, but Force India giving him a second chance. He's back in the team now, and he's back in Formula One, and he'll be driving for the Sahara Force India team. Now, they're not the only team to give us some team news today. We've spoken to Marussia earlier on today. I had a chat with David Croft from Sky Sports F1 HD, and he was telling me that there's a situation sort of emerging with Marussia at the moment over their second driver, Luis Razzia. Now, he was announced in Jerez and has been in the car testing, but he wasn't in Barcelona last week, and we've heard from the team this morning, and well, from one of our sources actually, and our sources told us that Luis Razzia's future is unknown at the moment. It's not known if he'll drive this week in Barcelona, but we understand that they are considering all options. The Marussia team are considering all options ahead of that first race in Melbourne. That first race is the 17th of March. They don't have much time now to sort out their 2 drivers for the season.
We can see the umbrella in the background there. Conditions haven't been great for the drivers today, but how much has that been affecting their preparations?
It's been affecting them quite a lot, Rachel, to be honest. It's quite a struggle even to hold the umbrella in these conditions. It's very windy, very wet and very cold. But the only good thing to say about it is the conditions are the same for all the teams. And they did get a forecast of the weather. They did know it was going to be raining today and tomorrow. So they've adapted their plans to account for that. So as far as the teams are concerned, it's not as big a deal as if they hadn't known it was coming and they were suddenly having to change things at the last minute. But also to bear in mind the tyres they're using today, they're running on the wets and the inters. Now, these tyres are the same compounds as they were last season, so the teams are saying to us that actually they can get some useful data from it because they can make some good comparisons between the cars. So the tyres are the same as last year, and they can then compare the cars and how the cars handle them and whether or not they're heading in the right direction. So although it has been raining and it has interrupted their plans, it's certainly not the disaster it could have been in that sense in terms of getting ready for the races. And they do know they will have 2 full dry days of running on Saturday and Sunday.
And there's also a new experience that F1 viewers can look forward to over the next 4 days.
There is indeed, Rachel. I've got a 3D camera on me at the moment in the background, actually, because we will be in 3D. Testing is going to be live for the first time from 2 o'clock this afternoon in the UK on Sky Sports F1 HD, but also in 3D as well. So if you've got a 3D television, get your glasses on and have a watch, because it's going to be very, very exciting. We had a look earlier on at some different sports and had a test of it, and the guys have been testing out the 3D Formula One this morning and been enjoying it thoroughly. The cars coming out of the screen at you, especially in these conditions as well. It will be absolutely fantastic, and that gets underway at 2 o'clock on Sky Sports F1 HD.
Look forward to. Thanks for that, Rachel.
Now to Formula One, and Lewis Hamilton has had an encouraging first day of the final pre-season test. Hamilton was quickest in the wet conditions in Barcelona this morning and was second fastest behind Mark Webber as the track dried out this afternoon. A heavy rain around Barcelona meant that track conditions were really slippery for the morning session. Romain Grosjean was the first man to get caught out. His spin caused the session to be stopped after less than 10 minutes. And Paul di Resta also found it rather tricky. He ended the day 7th fastest on the day that Adrian Sutil was confirmed as his teammate at Force India. Hamilton, though, was the quickest man in the damp conditions. Here he is. He was 2/10 quicker than Felipe Massa before the lunch break.
Has been difficult conditions today, but it dried up later on and we got some good running. It was a good race simulation, and just really happy that we're making progress moving forward. The guys are doing a fantastic job back at the factory, so I'm really happy.
You talked about wanting to get more downforce from the car. Have they been able to achieve that yet?
We'll find out in the next couple of days. I'm pretty sure they have. So, as I said, I'm really happy that they're making steps forward. I think either tomorrow or Saturday, we'll put some upgrades on the car, as everyone will, and really looking forward to seeing that. That's always like the most exciting couple of days of the pre-season testing, because that's when we get the full package.
Well, Massa had been testing some of Ferrari's upgrades with extra sensors on the fin above his head to evaluate their effect.
Well, actually, the weather is not helping a lot. We're trying to do as many we can, even in this difficult weather. We need to try to do as much as possible to have some ideas even in a difficult condition.
So maybe the team won't be putting all the new pieces on today, but they'll come for your last day in a couple of days' time when you'll maybe do another race simulation?
Yeah, today we have very little things in the car, so tomorrow is coming another few things, and for the last 2 days we should have most of the pieces we have to try.
Well, in the afternoon the track dried out, but Massa's day was cut short when his car stopped out on the track with a problem while he was attempting a long race simulation run. Red Bull's Mark Webber was quickest, his best lap coming at the end of the day when the track conditions were at their very best. His time, though, was nearly a second slower than the fastest time from last week's test in Barcelona. To confirm what happened then today, Webber finished with a time of 1:22.6. Almost 1.7 seconds faster than Lewis Hamilton. Jean-Eric Vergne was third fastest in the Toro Rosso, a further 7/10 slower. Valtteri Bottas was fourth for Williams, ahead of Sergio Perez in the McLaren. And Paul di Resta seventh fastest and over 4 seconds slower than Webber, but his best time came while the track was still drying out. And today also marked the first time Formula One testing was broadcast in 3D. Sky Sports' dedicated F1 channel broadcast live HD coverage from Barcelona with the option for viewers to see the action in 3D. And that is the first time Formula One has been shown like that, as Sky Sports try to bring viewers ever closer to the action on track. Yeah, great viewing it really was. Adrian Sutil, meanwhile, has vowed to take full advantage of a second chance in Formula One. The German didn't race last season following a conviction for grievous bodily harm, but he's now returned to Force India and will partner Paul di Resta in the new season.
I'm very happy that I could do the comeback. It was a difficult one. I had to wait very long, and last year I saw it gonna be difficult, and it's just a very different year I had at home, but a very good year. I think for myself, I could learn a lot more outside of racing. I could see the life goes on without racing as well, so it just strengthened my position, and very happy now to get the second chance, and I will take that better than ever. So I have clear goals. I'm refreshed and full of energy. I want to go forward.
Were there times when you thought you might never race in Formula One again?
There was a time, maybe, but I'm an optimistic person, so I'm always positive, and I think if you want something and you work hard for it, you will get it.
Just finally, are all the visa issues cleared up? There's no problems with any of the races or the countries they're in?
No, there are no problems, so I sorted everything out, and of course organized all the visas, and I'm ready to race and ready to travel.